Hey, Ramblers, before we kick off today's episode, thank you for even taking the time to listen to the podcast. We appreciate it. If you love the podcast, toss your 2 cents in using the hashtag Let's Ramble and make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the latest content and updates. Visit us at our new website at offsource.tech and make sure to follow us across all social platforms at Assistance HQ. Now let's ramble. And now, a moment from our sponsor.
What's going on, guys? Okay. We don't have that much time today, guys. We really don't. So I'm gonna need everybody to come in, tap in fast. Tap in fast. Not a lot of time today. I should have said that. We don't have a lot of time. Okay, 3 people jumping in. Let's go. Okay, what's good, Mamiana? We jumping in. We got live today because this is why picking that 850 credit score is not the best decision. Now I have to keep on. I have a lot of things to do. I have a 9 o'clock meeting, a 9:45 meeting, a 10 meeting. I have work to do from clients. Things are just out the ass busy right now. I apologize for cussing. I shouldn't be cussing. However, what's good, Jasmine? So today we're talking about why that 850 credit score is not the best decision to make. And I have to do it in a short amount of time because I am booked busy. If I have a client watching this, I have teammates now and I have people working with me. So work is being done as we speak while I'm on this live. And that's really what being a business owner is about. Being able to do something like this. I have to be able to get this content out, but I also have to get work done. So Angelo's Assistance of America is on the job. So I actually have someone right now, not right now, but I do have someone who will be getting to work soon as they are, because I have a meeting at 9:45. That meeting from 9:45 is going to span. Then I have a meeting from like 11 to 2. Like I'm going to be in meetings all day today. Really, kind of, I hope. So I have between meetings and doing client work, it's going to get pretty busy. So I'm going live earlier. So let's get right into it. Yesterday and for the past week and everything, I've been seeing posts about what would you pick, $500,000 or an 850 credit score. Now I don't know if you guys are misreading the post and seeing like $5,000 or if you're seeing $500, but the post clearly says 500 dash 000. That's $500,000. Some have even put it as 500K. So, if you don't know, there are people out there right now who are saying they would pick an 850 credit score over $500,000 cash. I don't care if you tax the $500,000 cash and leave me with two. Listen, any amount over $3,000, I'll say like $3, $4, $5,000. That's not going to be taxed. Like if you're left with $3, $4, $5,000, $6,000 versus an 850 credit score, usually depending on your situation, if you pick an 850 credit score, I'm going to call you a dummy, a bone dry, dense dummy. You want to know why? Because this is why. This is why. Because think of this: how much debt? Because that's what a credit score is. That's what a credit score is. A credit score measures how well you are at paying off your debt. So if you're not good at paying off your debt, you will have a low credit score. If you're not good at paying your bills on time, you will have a low credit score. So what is a double fold way? Like the only way people can improve their credit score is to pay. You have to start paying bills on time. You got to start getting loans to pay on time, pay a car note on time, whatever. The only way for you to build credit, the only way for you to build credit is to pay off whatever you have to pay off. You got to pay off your loans, your collections, your bills. That's why you have a low credit score. However, the only way to pay something off because you weren't able to pay it in the first place is to get money. Like, think about that concept. You're taking your one problem and making it multiple problems. So your problem is you have a low credit score. So which is you're thinking, if I have an 850 credit score, I can get everything I need and I can get it on credit. But guess what? The reason you have a low credit score is because you're bad at paying in the first place. Credit means you didn't have the money, but you thought you were going to get the money or anticipated getting the money, and then you went out and made a purchase based on that future proposition. Now, even whether that future proposition happened or not, whether you got paid to get paid or not, guess what? Guess what? You still have to pay back whatever you borrowed. That is why if you don't pay it back, your credit, your reputation on paying back is going to be low. It's going to be tanked because you don't pay back. Now, why don't you pay back? The reason you don't pay back is because you don't have enough money. Even if you had money, you may not have the money that needs to go to that. Because if you have $50 and you have to choose between doing a $50 credit card payment and making that $50 stretch as long as you can, guess what? You're going to pick making that $50 stretch as long as you can, therefore hurting your credit. So the easiest way to solve and encompass everything would be this: to pick $500,000. Why would you not pick $500,000? Because guess what? None of you are $500,000 in debt. Like, think about that. None of you are $500,000 in debt, yet you're picking a credit. Like, think of that. You guys are in debt, have terrible credit scores for no more than $5,000. And if you have student loans, then I'm so sorry to hear that, but $500,000 would go pay off those student loans. So, how can you pick $500,000 over $850? Because in the macro and in the micro of everything, your issues are long solved with $500,000. Now, let me break it down for you because I still have to roll and smoke before I go to this meeting at 9:00. So now that I've told you that picking $500,000 is the smart move versus picking an 850 credit score, you have to really get into the mindset, because everyone's going to say, well, my situation's different. My situation's different. There is no situation that justifies your credit score over cash. No situation justifies. What's good, Werberman? Kenny. What's good, Kenny? So, yeah, there's no justification for an 850 credit score over $500,000. There's literally no justification for it because none of you are in debt more than $500,000. Like, think about that. You're in debt at most, even with school, I'm gonna call it like $20,000. I'm gonna call it $20,000, right? So if you had $500,000 of disposable income, meaning you could set up a payment plan. Like, here's the thing: you don't even have to come out of pocket straight cash to pay off your debt. If you had a lump sum of money, you can set up a payment plan, and a payment plan at a particular amount, and that amount doesn't necessarily freaking matter because you have $500,000 on a payment plan. What you can do is say, you know what, I'm going to pay off this debt that I owe at a slow amount. Why? Because why do you care giving back someone else's money? Your credit is tanked and you have $500,000. You can buy whatever the freak you want. Cash. You can buy what you want in cash. So credit doesn't matter. The only reason credit matters is for, like, I'm gonna say it like this: credit is for broke people. I got 6 people watching live right now between both platforms. Credit is for broke people. Share it. Share this. Tag people. Tag people that you feel like credit. Like, and I had someone leave because they got scared. Credit is for broke people. Credit is for people that are broke. If you don't have any money, guess what you need? Credit. Why is credit important, and why is credit for broke people? Because credit only applies to people that don't have money, period. If you don't have money, you need credit. For example, if you have a car and that car costs $30,000, for example, I'm gonna pull up the perfect example. Everybody and their mother, everybody and their mom has that Q50. I don't care what year it is. Let's look at the Q50. Okay, a 2020 Q50 is $36,000. Now, when you think of that, $36,000 is not a lot of money. When you really think about it, about what people say an Infiniti is, like when you look at an Infiniti, you look at that car and you're like, oh, how much is an Infiniti? You're like, oh, that's just like $60,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. No, an Infiniti is $36,000. 36. What else is very popular? A Nissan Maxima 2020. $34,000. So think of this. An Infiniti is $36,000. A Nissan Maxima is $34,000. So you have no luxury in an Infiniti. Now that we've gotten that out the way. So, an Infiniti costs money, right? $36,000. Now, most of you probably only make $36,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in a year's time. Think about that. You guys are only making the amount that your car costs in a year time. So, if you don't have that money up front, what do you need? Because most of you don't have, none of you, how about that? None of you have $36,000 cash to go drop on an Infiniti. None of you. None of you have $36,000 cash to go buy an Infiniti outright. Or do a half now, half later deal, which still requires credit. Or the fact that you just have the ability to put down 50%. So think of that. Credit is for broke people. Let me actually, credit is for broke people. And that's not my original idea, but it's something that I've heard and I expounded on it. And I was really sitting there thinking, like, how the freak is credit going to be for broke people, man? It's credit. How is it supposed to be for broke people? Well, think of it like this. Credit means you don't have money. If you don't have money, you're broke. Let's put it like that's a very simple equation, and I'm going to have that snippet. Credit means you don't have the money to pay for it. I don't care how you want to put it. It means you don't have the excess expenditures to pay for this particular item. So I don't care if it's $30,000. You are, like, when you think about this, responded and gave me a heads up. I did give you a heads up. I always give people. Client just texted me. Anyway, so the issue happens to be that credit is for broke people. Why? Because if you have $36,000 to go get on, so basically this credit is saying this: I don't have $36,000 right now, right? I don't have $36,000 right now, but over the course of time, my little bit of money that I do make will go towards this purchase, this car. The little bit of money that I have, if you make $36,000 a year, right, which is what most of you are probably making. Some of you aren't even doing that. So if you're making $36,000 a year and your Infiniti costs $36,000, period, guess what? You are going to spend a full year of making no money. That's what you signed up for. In a nutshell, I have a $36,000 car and I make $36,000. So in order to pay off that $36,000, because you don't have $36,000 up front, you have to take a portion of what your $36,000 is to put it towards this car. Whereas if you already had the money, and you're like, oh, well, who has $36,000 just sitting around? Well, why do you have a $36,000 car? Like, think of this. You will put a down payment on a car, but laugh at somebody for putting a down payment on a sneaker. Like, oh, why are you putting a down payment on a sneaker? Why are you leasing sneakers if you can't afford to buy it outright? You're paying, if you're going to get a pair of Yeezys and you're going to put them a deposit and then pay a monthly figure on them, and you're like, yeah, you're stupid for paying a monthly thing on a car. I mean, on a sneaker. Take that same concept and apply it to your car. If you can't buy the car straight out cash flat outright, guess what? Why are you spending money on something you clearly cannot afford? Think about that. Think about that. How are you going to spend money on something that costs what you make for in a full year? That really just blows my mind, you know? How does that work for you guys? Like, think about that, right? Be honest. You guys make $20-something thousand a year. If that, 20, 30, I don't care if you're making $40,000 a year. And here's the thing. I know someone making $40,000 and I know that y'all not making that. So you went out and bought a car that costed $36,000. Now, let's just say you get the used version, even half that, $15,000, right? You guys are spending a year's worth of 6 months income. So basically, if they said, you know what, we're going to take your check, we're going to take every piece of money you get until you pay us back, I guarantee you guys would think twice. You guys would think twice about making those kind of deals. Why? Because You don't have that kind of money. You don't. Period. You don't have that kind of money. That's why you're putting it on credit. Because if you could really afford an Infiniti, then go to the Infiniti guy, be like, yo, this car is $36,000. I have $36,000. And guess you want to know how I know that you guys shouldn't even be doing getting a car with that costs that amount of money? Because if you can't walk in and say, you know what, I'll make you a deal. It costs $36,000 because dealerships love making deals. I'll give you $28,000 cash right now. I have $28,000 in cash. I'll give it to you for the car. Guess what? Chances are they'll probably take that. But you guys aren't even doing that. And that tells me that you can't afford the car. So why the freak would you pick $500,000? Why would you pick an 850 credit score and not pick $500,000? $500,000 gives you money, which gives you the needs and resources to fix your credit score. Freakish credit. You don't need a credit score of $500,000. And guess what? Here's the craziest part. You don't need a credit score if you have $500,000. And because you have $500,000, your credit score is going to go up because you're going to then pay off your bills. You're going to pay off that debt. Like, why do something different? Why get an 8? Because you're going to be at square one. If you have an 850 credit score, that means you now have an 850 credit score and you still have no money. So guess what? Having an 850 credit score with no money is like being at square one. Because if you have an 850 credit score, what are you going to do? You are going to go out and get a good deal, which means just low interest rate, low down payment. You're going to go out and go purchase something using that credit score. And guess what? Giving you an 8, that's going to go right back down. If you have an 850 credit score and no money, you are then going to use that 850 credit score to buy something that you can't afford. And so because you bought something that you can't afford, because you don't have any money, your credit score is going to drop because you can't afford to pay for it. So your 850 credit score that you glorified is going to drop immediately because you don't have the means to pay for whatever it is that you're getting a loan. With an 850 credit score, most of you, I promise it. If everyone received an 850 credit score, y'all would go out right now and run the freak up. Y'all would probably go out and get $1,000 worth of stuff and not be able to pay that. Like for $1,000, you might get a $300, $400 car note, a $300-$400 note for something else, and then another $200 note. So you can get 3 expensive items, and it's only going to cost you about $1,000 a month. Even 4. $250 needs to be a sweet spot. So because of your 850 credit score, you went out and got 4 expensive items that you could not afford. I said 4 on both. That's 8. 4 items that you cannot afford, but because you have a good credit and can make monthly payments, you think you can afford it. Guess what? You don't make any freaking money, and you wasn't before. Guess what? Or else you would have been paying your bills and your credit score would be high. So take the $500,000, pay off your credit score, and then use the $500,000 to then do other things. Because now you'll increase your credit score, and then you won't even need the credit to begin with because you have cash. I gotta get ready for this meeting. So I'll talk to you guys.
Hey Ramblers, before you go, make sure you're following us on social media at Assistance HQ across the board for all content and exclusives. And for an even more personal touch, subscribe to our weekly newsletter with the link in the description.